Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking through some player props I like on Prizepicks for today's NBA slate on Saturday, May the 31st. We got Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals on Saturday night. Wasn't sure if we would have a Game 6 in this series, but the Knicks were able to pull out a win at home on Thursday, force a Game 6. And, we got one more game in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then maybe, we'll have another game after this. We'll have to see if the Knicks can, pull off another win. If there is a Game 7, that will be on Monday, and I will, obviously have a video for that game if there is a game. If the Pacers win, this game on Saturday night, then obviously the series is over. Pacers go to the finals. The finals doesn't start until Thursday of next week, so we're gonna have no NBA games for a couple of days this week. Be on the lookout for MLB content coming, this week, starting probably either Monday if there's no NBA Monday, or Tuesday. Either way, I'm going to be doing MLB videos. Going to try and upload those MLB videos on the days that we don't have NBA, and then when we have NBA games, I'm going to do NBA videos. But I do want to start getting MLB content back up on the channel now that the NBA season is slowly coming to an end, and we're starting to get down to our last series. But yeah, we got a Game 6 Eastern Conference Finals game on Saturday night, and I'm going to give you guys two early player props I do like for this game, taking a first look at the board on Friday. Recording this video Friday afternoon. The props have, they've already been out for like the past, I don't know, like 12 hours. Pretty much after the game ended Thursday, they were already had props up for Saturday's game. So I've been able to kind of look through the board, find some plays I like. Got two plays I like that we're going to share and talk about in this video. Now, before we do get started, guys, make sure to hit that like button down below if you enjoy these Prizepicks videos. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to the channel, and if you don't have an account over on Prizepicks, be sure to go sign up for Prizepicks and use that promo code NOAH. When you do sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code and place your first $5 lineup, you're going to get $50 instantly added to your account. So check out Prizepicks if you have not yet. And then I do also want to shout out Sleeper, because we do have a partnership with Sleeper as well. You can go sign up for Sleeper, use promo code NOAH over on Sleeper, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. So whatever you put in on your first deposit, Sleeper will match that up to $100 when you sign up with code NOAH. And if you don't know what Sleeper is, they're a DFS pick'em app. They're very similar to Prizepicks, where you just pick more or less on player projections. You build out your lineup. You can do up to an 8-pick lineup on Sleeper, going up to 100x your money. You can also mix and match sports as well, so you can do multi-sport entries. You don't have to play the same sport all in one entry. You can do different sports and mix them up. So definitely go check out Sleeper, guys. Download their app and make sure to use that code NOAH when you do sign up. But let's go ahead and talk about some plays that I do like for today on Saturday. Now, both the props that we're going to talk about in this video that I do like are fantasy score props. Fantasy score is I've said this so many times, it's a stat line that I really like to look at heavily on Prizepicks, because it's a stat type that does offer some edge. Because on Prizepicks, most of the props that Prizepicks puts up, they can just copy lines directly from the sports books. They can, whatever the sports books have, that's where they can set the lines at. Well, for fantasy score, sports books don't offer fantasy score projections. So these are lines that Prizepicks has to come up with themselves. They have to create these lines themselves, and there can always be an edge with fantasy scores. So I got two fantasy score props I like for this game. First one that I like is going to be Tyrese Halliburton for more than 43.5 fantasy score. So we saw Halliburton have a just insane game. It was game 4 of this series. Went over, almost doubled his projection, had over 80 fantasy points. And then he really struggled in game 5. Did not play well. The Pacers as a team, didn't really play that well. Halliburton only had 28 fantasy points. But as you can see in this series, Halliburton has been pretty good in this series. He went over games 1 and 2. Barely went under in game 3, had 41.3 fantasy. Obviously had that huge game in game 4, and then really struggled last game. But I would expect Halliburton to bounce back here. This feels like a must-win game for both of these teams. If you're looking at the Pacers, you want to just try and close out this series at home. You do not want to have to play a game 7 in Madison Square Garden, because that's obviously going to be super hectic. And then obviously on the Knicks side, the Knicks, their season's on the line. They have to win this game to force a game 7. So I'm expecting some big minutes for Tyrese Halliburton here. I think he probably plays close to 40 minutes if this game's competitive. He can maybe even play over 40 minutes. And we know Indiana, they're a team that likes to push the pace. They like to play fast, especially at home. Their offense has been good at home. They've been putting up a lot of points at home. I'm expecting a bounce-back game for Tyrese Halliburton here. And I'm pretty sure his fantasy score line last game, I think his line was like 46 or 46.5. And because he had a bad game, the projection came down. I don't think the projection should have came down. I think his line should be like 45.5, 46 again, because I think more times than not, when he plays about 40 minutes, he projects for about 46 fantasy points. This is a matchup that Halliburton has shown to have success in. They've been putting Mikal Bridges on him, which is definitely a winnable matchup for Halliburton. And Halliburton's one of these guys that can do everything when he's on the floor. He had a triple-double in that game. It was game 4, was rebounding the ball really well, racking up a ton of assists. Even when he has like down scoring games, even if he only scores like maybe 14, 15 points, he can still get double-digit assists. He can get 5 or 6 rebounds. He can get some steals. So he's got so many ways that he can get fantasy points. Expecting a lot of minutes here for Halliburton in what kind of feels like a must-win game for the Pacers. Obviously, technically it's not a must-win game, but you don't want to have to play a Game 7 in MSG if you don't have to. And I expect the Pacers to really be going all out to win this game. So, like Tyrese Halliburton for more than 43.5 fantasy score here. And then the other play that I like on the Knicks side is Josh Hart. We're going to take him for more than 27.5 fantasy score. And this was a prop that I gave out in my Patreon on Thursday. I didn't make a video for Thursday's game, but even when I don't make videos, I still provide plays on Patreon. So I did give this play out on Patreon. It came through for us. Hart's line on Thursday, I believe, was at 28.5. And he went over that line, had 33 fantasy points. His line is 27.5 today. You can see in this series, it's kind of been a trend for Hart. He went over game 1, then he went under game 2, then he went over game 3, under, over. So obviously if the trend continues, hopefully it doesn't, but today would be a day that he would go under. But I like the over here on Josh Hart. For one, the minutes on Josh Hart lately have still been really good, even though he's been coming off the bench. So we saw the Knicks make a change in the starting lineup. I'm pretty sure it was for game 3. That was the game that they moved Mitchell Robinson into the starting lineup over Josh Hart. So Josh Hart has come off the bench the last 3 games, and even coming off the bench, he has still played 34 minutes, 36 minutes, and 34 minutes. And in Game 5, he was actually on pace to play about 38 minutes in Game 4. He was actually on pace to play about 38 minutes in Game 4, but he got subbed out like 2 minutes early because he fouled out in that game. But what they've been doing with Josh Hart, he comes off the bench, he'll sub in about halfway through the first quarter, and then he's basically been playing out the entire first half. So he'll sub in probably with about 6 minutes left in the first quarter. He'll play out the rest of the first quarter, and he'll play the entire second quarter. And they'll do the same thing in the second half. He'll sub in about halfway through the third quarter. He'll play out the rest of the third quarter. He'll play the entire fourth quarter. Obviously, things could change. That's not a guarantee that they continue to run that type of rotation. But that's the rotation that they've been running for Josh Hart these last 3 games. So he's still been playing huge minutes, even coming off the bench. I assume the Knicks are going to start Mitchell Robinson again, but maybe they go back to starting Josh Hart. Either way, I think Hart plays 34 to 36 minutes here. If by some chance they move him back into the starting lineup, which I think is at least somewhat a possibility, then maybe he plays 40, 42 minutes. Must-win game for the Knicks. Expect them to really lean heavily on their main guys. Hart's one of these guys that we know, Tom Thibodeau, he loves Josh Hart. He's going to play him a ton of minutes, whether he's starting or coming off the bench. And kind of similar to Tyrese Halliburton, Hart's another one of these guys that can just do everything when he's on the floor. He's not a guy that really has a ton of scoring potential, but he scored 12 points back-to-back games. He rebounds the ball incredibly well. He's had double-digit rebounds in back-to-back games. He can also do a little bit of facilitating, and he's a guy that can get defensive stats too. He can get you steals. He can get you blocks. And those are huge for fantasy score because they're worth 3 points each. And I think if we're going to get 34, 36 minutes from Josh Hart again, this fantasy score line of 27.5 just looks a bit low on him. I mean, Hart's a guy that, in his career, he's been about a fantasy point per minute player. On average, when he plays about 34 to 36 minutes, I think he should project for about 30 fantasy points. I think 27.5 is a little bit of a low line on Josh Hart. So I do like Josh Hart for more than 27.5 fantasy score here as our second play for today. And if you're not on Prizepicks and you can't take fantasy score props, I think looking at PRA as an alternative, taking Hart over 22.5 PRA, taking Halliburton over wherever his PRA line is, 35.5. I'm totally fine with that as an alternative to fantasy score. If you look at Halliburton's fantasy score, he's gone over 3 of his last 5 games. You look at his PRA, he's gone over 2 of his last 5. This game, I think he went over fantasy but didn't go over PRA. And then if you look at Josh Hart's gone over PRA 3 out of 5. Look at his fantasy, he's gone over 3 out of 5. I think there was one game where he went over PRA but didn't go over fantasy, and that was, I believe, game 4. Yeah, game 4 he went over PRA but not fantasy, and I think that's because he had a bunch of turnovers in game 4. I think he had 5 or 6 turnovers. Let's see. see, game 4 he had, yeah, he had 5 turnovers in game 4. I mean, you can't, Hart's not a guy that typically has that many turnovers. He's like a 1 to 2 turnover guy, if that. So I like the fantasy score. You could obviously look at PRA, but fantasy score is definitely my favorite on Josh Hart. But both these props I do like for this game on Saturday. Game 6, if we get a competitive game here, if we get like 40 minutes from Tyrese Halliburton, if we get upper 30s minutes from Josh Hart, I feel pretty good about these guys going over these fantasy score lines. So this is what I'm liking for Saturday's Game 6, and then we'll see if we have a Game 7 on Monday. If we do have a Game 7 on Monday, I will post a video for that game. It'll probably go up sometime on Sunday. If the Pacers win Saturday night and there's no Game 7, then be on the lookout for some MLB videos starting on Monday, and I'll be uploading MLB videos all next week until pretty much until Thursday when we have the finals starting, and then when the finals start, I'll do videos for the finals, and I'll try and still do MLB videos on the days where we don't have finals games, because like during the finals, the games are going to be like every other day. So we'll have days with obviously no NBA, and I want to start putting out some MLB content those days. So yeah, be on the lookout for MLB content next week, guys. Going to be doing MLB videos all summer, pretty much leading up until NFL season, leading up until college football. So, just because the NBA is kind of winding down doesn't mean the content's going to wind down. We're still going to be pumping out content all summer. I do cover MLB. I've been covering MLB for pretty much since I started playing daily fantasy like 10 years ago. I've been doing MLB DFS, been doing Prizepicks MLB since I started playing on Prizepicks. So I got a lot of information, I feel like I got a lot of knowledge with MLB, and I'll share that with you guys starting next week when we do have some MLB content coming out then. But appreciate the support and appreciate you guys' support on these YouTube videos. Make sure that, again, you hit that like button down below if you enjoy these videos. Hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys don't have an account on Prizepicks, again, make sure to sign up for Prizepicks and use that promo code NOAH. When you do sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code and place your first $5 lineup, you're going to get $50 instantly added to your account. So check out Prizepicks if you guys have not yet. But good luck tonight. Let's win some money on this slate, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.